Hello, I am Dr. Balasubramanian Tyagarajan. Today, in our continuing Scribus tutorials, we will see the use of shape, lines and arrows within Scribus. Scribus has got a unique ability of allowing shapes to be drawn within the canvas. So this is actually the canvas which we have created as part of the new document, and now you can insert shape by, this is actually the toolbar, by going to the toolbar here. Let me magnify and show you. So this is actually the enlarged version of the toolbar. So here this is the insert shape button. On clicking the down arrow, the possible default shapes that can be inserted into Scribus gets displayed. These are a few of the default shapes that can be drawn on the canvas. This is a rectangle, circle. So these are the possible shapes. But these shapes again can be drawn and the dimensions can be altered from the using the context menu of the properties window. So that is also possible. So this is actually the default shapes which are available inside the Scribus toolbar. And then these are the next category of shapes happens to be the arrows. The arrows can be on either direction, double-sided, four-sided arrows like this, up, pointing down, pointing to the left, pointing to the right. All these combinations are possible. Arrow combinations are possible. Then you can also create a flowchart using the preformed shapes within the Scribus. So these are all the preformed shapes that you can use inside a flowchart. Then you can very well create a jigsaw puzzle by using these shapes inside Scribus. So these jigsaw puzzle shapes can be used to create a jigsaw of a picture. These shapes can be used for that purpose. There are some special shapes within the special category. It can be a heart, or it can be a flower, it can be a smiley, it can be a penguin. All these things are possible. In addition to the shapes, you can create a polygon. So here you can create a polygon with various corners, rotation with factors applied, and then you can insert a line using this tool. So these three tools, one is the insert shape, the other one is the polygon, the third one is the insert line. These three tools are commonly used to create various shapes and lines. Supposing if you want to draw a curved line, so you can use this tool to insert a Bezier curve. Then you can also use this pencil tool to draw a freehand line. So that is also possible within Scribus. So in fact, Scribus as a software doesn't limit any of your artistic talent. And here, if you want to rotate the shape, you can go ahead here and you can rotate the item, selected item. First you need to select the shape and then you can apply the rotation. Now I will zoom out. Now let us see, let us go to the default shape. I am going to draw this default shape. So this default shape is a rectangle. Supposing you want to draw a default square. So usually what happens is, by default the shape you draw on the canvas happens to be a rectangle. But if you want to draw a square, all you got to do is press the shift button while you drag the mouse. You will get a perfect square. And moreover, you can also use these guides to draw a perfect square. These guides really help you to draw a perfect square. So these guides, I am using this guide to draw a perfect square. So I'll need to choose the square and then let me attempt to draw a perfect square using the guides alone. Yes, it is very much possible. So you can resize these shapes by using these red dots. So it is possible to resize the shape using the red dots by pulling the red dots. So the shape of the vertical height of the shape can be adjusted by pulling at this red dot or this red dot, or the horizontal dimension can be increased by pulling this dot to the right or pulling this dot to the left. So what happens? Let us see. So you can do the same. Now let us go to the context menu. So I need to select the image shape rather. So these are first make it go. It's becoming sticky. So I don't need this text box. Let me go. I'll go here. Let me again use this image to go to the properties and see what we can do about it. So for example, this shape, if you go to the shape, you can round the corners of this shape. For example, just by clicking the rounding the corners, you see the shape gets beautifully rounded. See, I'm increasing the angle points, so it is getting rounded. So now you get a oblong shape. The square has become an oblong body, and now you can you can draw a shape even by going to the shape inside the properties window, and you can do it. Now let us edit these shapes still further. You can add nodes to the shape, and I will select the shape, go to edit. Now you see the various nodes which have been in place. So I can pull these nodes. So I will pull these nodes. So I can pull like this and create a unique shape. Now if I want to add a node here, so I just click on the add node and click here. The node is added. If you want to delete a node, I'll just click this delete and click here, the node goes. So that is a way of adding and deleting nodes. So you can always pull them. So now I want to say move the control points. So this is actually the node. So I will just pull it across. So what has happened to the shape? What started off as a square is slowly taking another shape. So this is the possibility you get. Supposing you want to mirror the path, the selected path horizontally, this does the job. And then if you want to mirror the path vertically, here it has been mirrored. And here if you want to shear the path horizontally to the left, you do this. To the right, you do this. If you do this, it goes to the left. See, I keep doing this. It just keeps on moving. So now I do this. So this is a way you can manipulate these control points to get different shapes. Now you can rotate the path like this, counterclockwise, clockwise, and you can change the angle of the rotation, and you can enlarge the size of the path by 10% if you want. You can change the percentage, or if you want to enlarge it by points, you can do it by giving the value here, and then you can give out the coordinates. Supposing if you want to know where exactly these objects or shapes are placed pertaining to the canvas, you get the value here. If you want to know the value, you click this, it gives the value or the position pertaining to the page. So these features will really help you to manipulate the various objects placed within the canvas. Now let us add some colors to it. So this is actually the tool which adds color to the border. So let me add a green, you get a green border. You add a blue, you get a blue border. You add red, you get a red border. And then this is where you add the fill. Just click here and you add a blue fill, you get a blue fill. And then border, and then what you can do is you can change the opacity of this shape. So you can reduce the opacity so that you can reduce opacity. Blend mode, you can darken it if you want. So this is a way you can manipulate various shapes within the Scribus. So let me open a new page, create a new page, insert a page, brown. For a moment I'll close the properties window. Now I want to try out the arrows. So supposing I want to draw arrow, I do this. This arrow can be drawn. Then you select the arrow. If you want to manipulate the color, you can say go to the color. You can manipulate the color of the lines. You can make it blue if you want. See, it has changes blue. You can add shades inside. So for example, make it blue like this, green like this. So if you want a gradient, color gradient. So for example, let us try out various colors. Create gradients. So see, if you drag, the moment you drag, you get various combinations. So the color gradient can, if this is actually a diagonal gradient, I can go ahead and do a cross diagonal gradient. You need to play around with it so that you see this is actually how the vertical gradient looks like. You can pull, make it less darker, less blacker, and then you can also have a free linear gradient, or you can have a free radial gradient. So these are the possibilities you can use to create shapes. You can reduce the opacity of the color if you want. The black opacity of the black goes up. Supposing you want to say horizontal gradient, you want to reduce opacity, you have reduced it to 0, and then you can go to the line. You can add the type of line. Say for example, you want it to be dash lines. Arrow is bounded by dash lines. Sometimes you want it to be dots, you get a dot arrow. Sometimes you want it to be dot and dash, you get a dot and dash. Then you can adjust the width of the line by increasing these points. See? So now edges can be joined either way. These types of joining, you want to bevel join, it will join. Endings, you want to make it into square cap, it will make it square cap. Round cap, it will make a round cap. So these are the features which you can play around while you are doing a line. And now you can change the direction or change the dimensions of the arrow by going to the X, Y, Z. So for example, X pos, you can change it into, if you increase the value in X pos, your image moves to the right side of the screen. Again, if you play around with the Y pos, if you increase Y pos, the image starts to shift downwards on the canvas. Supposing if I reduce the Y pos, the image starts to shift upwards. And then the width of the image and the height of the image, this is actually a proportional value. So this is actually following a proportion. Now if I want to change the width as well as the height of the arrow, or enlarge the size of the arrow without actually changing the dimensions, without changing the proportion of the width to height, all you gotta do is you link this link here. So when you link this, the proportion will be the same, but you can manage to change the width and the height. The arrow will become larger, but the dimensions are more or less will be kept stationary. And now if you want to change only the width alone, you don't want to mess up with the height, you can unlink it. Now it is unlinked. I'll be able to change the width alone. Now I'm changing the width alone. I'm not messing up with the height. So this image again has lost its proportion because the width is increasing while the height is retained. So supposing if I reduce the width, nothing is happening to the height value. Only the width gets adjusted. Now you can rotate the object or a shape by a certain angle. Supposing I have chosen the rotation point here as given here. Now let us see how it rotates. So this is the point I have chosen. It keeps rotating. You can rotate it across any base point. So here I will choose this one as a base point. Now let us see how it rotates. So it will rotate across this base point. So now I'll choose this one as a base point. Let us see what happens. See, it keeps rotating. And now I'll use center as a base point. This is actually something, it will mimic a clock. So now it is rotating like a clock. This simulates more or less rotation of the clock. So this as far as the rotation and base point is concerned. Now you can choose the level of the document. You can choose it, increase the level. If you have multiple objects on the screen, you can ensure that you can choose one object to be at a higher level than that of the other object. You can raise up the level, or you can bring down the level of the object. You can bring the object to the front and you can push the object to the back. These are the possibilities which Scribus offers. Now let us see what happens here. I want to flip this object horizontally. So it is flipping. It's a horizontal flip. Now I want to flip it vertically. I'll just click here. It's a vertical flip. And make this rotation 0. Select this. And then you can lock these objects. If you lock, you can't do anything with it. Nothing can be done. If you unlock only, you'll be able to change the value. So now you can prefer to lock or unlock the size of the object. That is also possible. Now let us go to a polygon. We will draw a polygon. So when you open the polygon window, it shows the properties. So if you want a 4-corner polygon, you get it. Let us say we will increase the number. We will go to rotation like this, and then we will apply a factor. So what happens is, so now slowly you can even make it into a star. You can increase the curvature like this. Play around with these values till you get a perfect star. I will increase the corners. I will increase the rotation. Then factor. When I increase the factors, now if I give OK, I should be able to effortlessly draw a star. So this is one polygon. Ensures that we get different shapes made on the screen using Scribus. And now this is a tool which you use to insert a straight line. Suppose you want to draw a line, you can draw a line like this. Drag the mouse holding the left mouse button. When you drop, the line stops. Now you can go to the line properties. If you right click, the context property will open. Just ensure that the object is selected. In this scenario, it is going to be the line which will be selected. Now I am going to use the base point left. There are 2 base points. I am going to choose the left as the default base point. Type of line I want to make it. See, it has changed into dash. Now let me again go to the line, and then I can add an arrow. Say for example, this type of arrow. Then I want the arrow to be like this. So the base point I have given it left, so it has managed to add an arrow to the left. Now I want the arrow to be end points. So what happens? So it is adding an arrow to the other side also. Double arrow is added. You can change the color of the line by clicking here. Green, it changes to blue, it changes to dark blue. Then you can reduce the shade if you want. You can make it, you can reduce the shade, you can reduce the opacity if you like. So then you can, let me see what else you can do with this. So you can change, you have a lot of options to change the look of the arrow. So that you can do. So this is as far as the straight line and drawing arrows inside Scribus. Now let us try out a Bezier curve. So for that, let us create a new page. Let's insert a new page. Now I am going to draw a Bezier curve. We will choose the Bezier curve from the toolbar. There is always other option of doing the same thing by going to insert. You can insert the shape, you can insert line, all these things which you find in the toolbar, you will get it under the insert menu. So you can also use the sub menu under insert. So we will insert a Bezier curve and draw a curve like this. Click, draw, click, draw, click. The moment you click, the curve stops. So you can add a Bezier curve like this. So the moment you left click it, the Bezier goes off. So you can draw bizarre looking curves or varying looking curves using this Bezier tool. Then you can also use this freehand tool like this. You can use a freehand tool to draw a freehand drawing like this. You can do a freehand drawing. You can also use the same thing, select it and flip. So I'll select. So I can flip. Similarly here I select, I want to flip it. I want the flipping, your mouse cursor takes the flipping shape, you just flip it up. You can also flip it up. This is one way of changing the direction of the arrow. If you want, you can select it and use the flip tool to flip it. Now imagine how we are going to type a text inside a shape. So you can create a shape, but how can you type some text into it? Because a shape is really wonderful to have, but how will we insert text into the shape? For that you cannot directly insert text into the shape. So let us try out how to type inside the text by creating a new page. Now I will insert, say I will do this in another way. I will insert a shape. I will use a oval, default oval shape. I'll just do this. Now I have created a round. Now I will go to the properties. I will add some colors to it. I will make the border of the circle blue, and then I'm going to fill that circle. Blue. Click the bucket. So I will just fill up the circle with a green. Then I will try to reduce the shade a little bit so that letter should stand out. Dark color letter should stand out within the shape. So I am reducing the shade a little bit. So in fact I have reduced 80% of the shade. Now I will even go ahead and reduce a little bit of the opacity so that letter should stand out inside this background. Now the shape is more or less same and more or less looks favorable to be typed on, but I'm not able to type anything on the shape because this is not a text box. As far as Scribus goes, you can only type inside a text box. So fortunately you have one option here. You would right click on the object, then go to convert to, then go to text frame. So now you have managed to convert the object into a text frame. Now you should be able to type something. Now you see so you can align this text wherever you want. You can change the font. All these things are possible. You can go to the properties, and the entire shape will behave like a text box. We'll go to the text. We can increase the font size, and then you can change the font to our choice, and then you can align the font to the baseline, and then you can add color of the letter. Say for example you want to make it red, you can make it red. Magenta, you can make it blue, you can make it blue cyan. Then you can make it black, you can make it black. Then you can change the paragraph style if you want. So all these things are possible the moment it becomes a text box. Now you can also insert an image into an object. So for that to happen, again the object directly you cannot receive an image. So it needs to be converted into an image frame. So what we'll do is first we'll go to insert and then insert shape. We will take a default shape. For example, let us see, for a change we will take this shape. So this is your default shape. And now similarly what we'll do is we'll go to the properties, add some colors to it. So I'll change the outline to say, I will make it like this, and then what I will do is, so this is actually the shape which you have drawn on the canvas. Now I will right click it, give convert to image frame. The moment it gets converted to image frame, it gives us the cross hatch. This cross indicates, black cross indicates it is ready to receive the image. So you double click, go to the image which you want the text image frame to receive. Let us see. So now you see this first initially we created a shape, then we added borders, colored the borders, and then we have managed to convert the shape into a image frame. Now we have managed to import the image. So now look what has happened to the image. A perfectly rectangular image now has become it has taken this shape. Now you can do the scaling here. If you can align the image in such a way that the item of interest can be moved by moving the X pause and the Y pause so that it gets perfectly aligned. So now it's done. I'm enlarging it. So now it is done. So this is the way you can manipulate objects, make it receive text, make it receive images. Thank you.